and the name that is being used as justification for not signing a midfielder is that we don't want to take the place in the squad for Jude Bellingham. And Don Van Dijk here makes a point that I've thought about a number of times, which is that this is the current price, 130 million euros, 102 million pounds is the current rumor price. I don't think that conversion's right. I think it's 120 million euros. But regardless, it would be a 9 figures in terms of pounds move, which is moving worlds. That is, it'd be breaking our record transfer for a second time in 2 windows. Owen, is that as nailed on in terms of you expecting that to happen? Dortmund say he has the go ahead. That's the price. You pay him that. He's yours. Do you see Liverpool paying that?
Like, to be honest, I wouldn't have thought Liverpool would have paid that before the past probably 6 months, where kind of every Liverpool fan is kind of convinced me that Jude Bellingham is the answer. Jude Bellingham is the one player that Liverpool need to get because totally, I wasn't on board with the idea of bringing him in. I thought he's not really a Klopp player doing that deal, which is going to be very, very expensive. But look, signing Darwin Núñez has kind of showed that we're willing to spend mega bucks if the right player comes along. So if Klopp's got his eye on Jude Bellingham, no midfielder this summer by the looks of it, what's stopping us from going to get him next summer? I think from what I've heard, he's like a big fan of the club. Although there have been links with City over the past few days, which are a bit concerning, can't lie. And imagine Manchester City with Jude Bellingham in the midfield. Like, that is unbelievable.
Game over.
Not depth, but yeah, they're going to win the Champions League. They're going to win everything. So it's very scary if they do manage to get their hands on him. But no, I think it's written Liverpool over it, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I want to agree with you, and I don't want to make Jen mad because we're making Jen very mad by saying that we're not going to sign. I'm not saying we're not going to sign Jude.
Sorry.
And Jen's confident. Her sources are telling her not true. Not true. Anthony, I'll put you in the shoes of Jude Bellingham. You know, you have you're not a fan of Liverpool, but you have they have a soft spot in your heart. Is that the phrase? Something that you like them a little bit. But City are also willing to pay the same price. They're paying you better wages, putting you over 300 grand a week. So you take less money to work with Klopp. Not a guarantee you're working with Guardiola. Which project in 2023 could appeal more to Jude Bellingham if a bidding war was to ensue?
I don't want to break Jen's heart here, but I think City's probably more appealing at the moment just because. But I don't know. Because I think as soon as Bellingham comes in, he'll sort of a nailed-on starter. Whereas at City, they can spend 100 million on a player, and he'll be warming the bench for the next couple of seasons. But I still think he'll join us next season. I don't think the club's going to sort of wait out a whole season for a midfielder in Bellingham and not have something prepared. I know we said that for this season, but there's just something about Bellingham. I think everyone can see it. Even like rival fans can sort of see he's got Liverpool written all over him. And is he worth the money? I think as of right now, as a player, he's definitely not worth 100 million. Like, he's probably doesn't even come into our starting 11. But you're investing for the next bloody 10, 15 years, aren't you? And if you break that up, you'd rather spend 100 million on a player now for the next 10 years than having to replace one for 50 million or 60 million in the next sort of 3 windows if it doesn't work out for him. So I think it's a great signing, and if it does happen, obviously, and obviously homegrown as well helps there. I think we struggle a lot with that in our club, but yeah, it'll be a great signing, and it will definitely help us towards winning some titles.
We relate softly to Bellingham when he was making the move from where was he first before Birmingham?
Birmingham. Yeah.
Thank you. Spaced that completely. So we were linked a little bit there, but it made more sense for him to go to Dortmund to decide that actually would pay him, or play him, not pay him. If we don't sign a midfielder this summer, and considering how long we've been linked to him, and the fact that he just seemingly fits so well with Klopp, but a bidding war ensues next summer. It's Chelsea, it's Real Madrid, it's PSG. Did I say Manchester City? If I didn't, them as well and us. So about 5-6 clubs in there who are tossing their name in the hat, willing to pay over 100 million pounds. Is FSG sitting at that auction table outbidding everybody, considering how long we've waited for him, considering we've put off our plans for him how much does your confidence level change if we don't sign a midfielder this summer because all of our eggs are in the Jude Bellingham basket?
It is weird, isn't it? Like, I think we all want to believe that we've got this more or less sorted, or there's been back alley conversations and a verbal agreement or something. But why is there a need for secrecy? Like, we announced, we announced Cater and then loaned him back. We've announced players in the past, like before the transfer windows opened and stuff like that. I don't get why we would have to keep it a secret.
I think it's because it
Dortmund
doesn't.
were really that fussy.
For me, Louis, I think it's because nothing's actually happened. Dortmund.
Well, that's what I mean. So then, if that's the case, then I don't think we can be that confident of outbidding anybody. The main driving force would have to be Jude Bellingham. Like, Jude Bellingham would have to have his absolute heart set on Liverpool, so that when Barcelona, when Madrid, when Man City, and even Chelsea, although I don't think they'd really be in the running.
Yeah, signing De Jong would kind of. I mean,
yeah, but if those clubs come and massively outbid us, like, Bellingham's got a stick. If he is as pro Liverpool as some of us want to believe, like I know Matty believes he's got Steven Gerrard posters on his wall in Dortmund, but he has got to stick to his guns if he really wants that move, because we will get outbidded. There's no way we will be the team at the top of that bidding list, and Dortmund will want to get as much money as possible. So the only party that can guarantee it happens is Jude Bellingham, by saying, I'm not moving anywhere else, otherwise I'll wait and I'll go on a free or something like that. I know that's a long way away, but he is the one who's got to decide. And then that just puts into question how much do you trust Jude Bellingham to choose us and only us? I don't know.
It would be, then it's no longer in our hands. You're hoping on our project to look good in a year's time, and who knows, a bad season, a falling out of some sorts, and maybe the great atmosphere on the club doesn't exist as well. I'm confident in Klopp that he can keep that around. But who knows a year from now? Van Dijk makes an interesting point here, and Jen will break your heart. Barella and Nunes would come out to similar, maybe a bit more in the transfer fee. In the wages, I think it'd be a bit more. But you're getting two players who can fill that squad. Neither of them are Bellingham, but they're different. Owen, it's not as simple as two players are better than one player. When you're looking at, like, maybe Barella is a bit more expensive, and that math doesn't add up as well, like two £50 million players versus the £100 million of Jude Bellingham. Where does that kind of balance fall for you?
It's a no-brainer, and it would be to bring in Nunes and Barella, because then you've got two spots in the squad that ultimately are there. Jude Bellingham, he's the future of the club if he did join, but I don't think he gets into starting 11 right now. I don't think he walks in at all. So when you look at it, you've got Barella. He can play left-hand side, even play that sort of, because Thiago's not going to be, like, he's injury prone and he's 31 now. So that's another player you could have there. And then Nunes as well, another kind of playmaker. Well, obviously Barella isn't that sort of player, but Nunes is that kind of passing. It's kind of similar to Sporting, obviously not current, but Sporting Bruno Fernandes in a sense. So I think that would be a really, really good deal. And Bellingham, it's a lot of money, isn't it? It is a lot of money just for one player. And there's no guarantees. Like, there's no guarantees he comes, and he's absolutely unbelievable. It is a big, big risk bringing him in.
And also just having all those eggs in one basket, that he's a talented player, no doubt. Great, great talent. A freak injury prone, doesn't develop as well as you'd want him to. Like, two players just widens that safety net a little bit more, and it makes the cost of failure just that much less. I want to talk about Barella in specific. There hasn't been too many great links, except for maybe the occasional weird journalist saying Klopp likes him. And I mean, it's unsurprising. Klopp probably likes a lot of good players. For me, Barella is one of the most signings that would make the most sense. He can play as that right-sided 8. He's got the defensive ability to play there. He can unlock that defense really well. His passing range is very strong. In those tight spaces, he's good. He could play as the 6. Like, you don't want him to play there, but he could. He's played there under Conte. He's played there for Inter. So he could be a backup for Fabinho, maybe even the long-term heir of Fabinho. So you can still play Barella at the 6, Bellingham as the right side at 8. So you could have them both coexist. And then, as you mentioned, Owen, he could be the heir to Thiago. He could literally be the replacement for 3 different players. What that means is maybe he pans out really well in one spot, you sign someone somewhere else. Maybe you have a great signing that you make or a great development that happens in one spot, you move him somewhere else. So that versatility across the midfield, I like a lot, and I think would make a lot of sense. But clearly, just there's a price difference that exists, and he doesn't want to leave Inter. But Anthony, for you, on Barella, he would be probably the guy that would be the most at risk with his signing would be our boy Naby. So kind of putting aside our fears of our friend getting the axe, Barella, get your thoughts on that potentially.
Mate, I think you got to move on to Louis for this one. I've never watched Barella play.
Louis, back up Anthony. So Anthony's not a Barella expert. Tell me, you're my resident Barella expert here, aren't you, Louis?
Not an expert, but I think he'd be an excellent signing. Very capable of being relatively versatile as well. I think at a push, he could do a decent job at number 6 if it came to it. But certainly as a right or even a left-sided 8, he could do either of those jobs, being slightly more box-to-box or even at times, controlling the game, being that player that keeps things ticking over. He's got a lot of traits that would improve upon our midfield relatively quickly. And again, this is where it's all a bit tricky, because there's just been nothing concrete about us with him. It's all been pretty up in the air and no reliable sources. So why are we not in for a player like that? I could never tell you. You'd like to think that there are reasons behind it. I don't know what his wages are like. Don't know what his personality's like. You'd like to think that we have been keeping tabs on someone as good as that. But this is one of those things we may never know. And I think a lot of people maybe jumping to conclusions a little bit too quickly that, we've seen him and just decide that he's absolutely not good enough. I don't know.